This video is sponsored by Normandy 1998, Ash, and Christopher Mitchell. Recognizing they're trapped, Ash, Arvin, and Nimona go back to back, with the raven-haired boy demanding to know what Jessie wants. However, she is not the one who answers, as stepping forth to stand beside the magenta-haired woman is none other than Eri, as she fiercely declares that Team Star are here to do what Team Star does best, put an end to Ash's bullying of Jessie and her friends through the only language a bully understands: force. At the mention of Jessie's compatriots, Ash scans the cliffs, though to his surprise, he sees no sign of James or Meowth, which now that he thinks about it is odd, while from over his shoulder, Nimona insists that Eri has it backwards, and that Jessie is the villain, not Ash, stating that back at school she tried to steal his Pikachu. Unfortunately, at the mention of their school, Eri shuts down, having no interest in hearing more, especially not from the student council president, as she growls that it makes sense the academy would spin poor Jessie's self-defense like that, since it's just another in a long list of examples of the establishment blaming the victim and shielding the perpetrator. Urgently, Nimona protests that this isn't true, though tersely, Arvin tells her to save her breath, since these blockheads have already made up their mind that the three of them are guilty, his caustic nature on full display, as he declares that if any of these scumbags come for his mabostiff, the only sandwich they're gonna get is a knuckle sandwich. Seeing this threat as further confirmation of her suspicions, Eri orders her grunts into first position, and en masse, the assembled delinquents begin hurling Pokeballs into the canyon. As they're members of CAF Squad, the majority of their Pokemon appear to be fighting types, and are of a considerably higher level than Mela's team, with the most common choices being Krogunk and Primeape. In an instant, roughly 30 Pokemon begin advancing on the trio, and while normally this would be a challenging but not altogether daunting prospect, these are not normal circumstances, as their Pokemon are still worn out from the battle with Orthworm. Nor is this truer than with Ash's team, as when he calls out Charcadet and Nimble to stand alongside Pikachu, all three look quite fatigued. Knowing they're probably not in a position to fight, Nimona makes one last desperate entreaty for Eri to listen, pointing to Charcadet and asking if the platinum-haired girl recognizes it. It's Mela's friend. While Eri's facial expressions are hard to read from so far away, especially when masked by her face paint, it seems that at the very least she is listening, and suppressing this small window of opportunity for all it's worth. The other girl recounts the events of their meeting with Mela, how she told them the truth about Team Star and agreed to work with her to bring the team back to school, as well as entrusting her old friend to Ash, since she believed he's a good person. Would she really do that if he was a bully? Once more, Eri pauses, though this time it is a more thoughtful pause, with her shifting body language suggesting that she's considering these words very carefully. This puts a big smile on Nimona's face, as she cheers that she wants to be friends with all the Team Star bosses and work together, though before she can say more, Jessie cuts her off, haughtily sneering that Eri's not going to believe the school rep over her, is she? She thought they were friends. Seeing this for the transparent manipulation it is, Ash growls that this is pretty low even for Team Rocket playing on Eri's friendship like that, though unfortunately, this plays right into Jessie's hands, as she gasps that that mean twerp is bullying her right now. This adds a new layer to the CAF Squad leader's considerations, as she looks to Jessie and says that while they are friends of course, and she trusts her, she's not sure how to reconcile the appearance of Mela's Charcadet. Smirking deviously now, the magenta-haired woman leers that it's quite obvious, isn't it? That awful boy has gone from bullying to outright Pokemon theft. How despicable. So they must really put a stop to him here and now. Unfortunately, with her pro-Jessie and anti-Ash biases, Eri believes this, and so gives the command for her squad's Pokemon to go on the attack. At once, Ash, Arvin, and Nimona find themselves having to repel almost a dozen attacks each, with the latter pair bringing back out Pawmot, Lycanroc, Shellder, and Toadstool, along with new faces Scovillain for Arvin and Sliggoo for Nimona. However, even with these fresh reinforcements, 9 against 30 is not a fair fight, forcing the heroes to battle a bit more creatively, with Arvin taking a similar role to the Orthworm fight, as he plays a support role, having Toadstool use Screech to lower their enemies' defenses, Shellder use Liquidation to achieve the same while also dealing some damage, and Scovillain use Fire Fang, as any burns it can inflict will hamper the fighting types who rely so heavily on physical moves. This clever strategy opens the door for the other two to go on the attack, as Ash has Pikachu deploy Electrobes to hold enemies down, Nimble start hopping all over the battlefield striking anyone it can with Struggle Bug, and Charcadet use its Fire Spin Mantle like a shield to protect its allies from counterattacks. Meanwhile, Nimona's assault is far less diversified, as she sticks with the tried and true tactic of hit 'em hard, hit 'em lots, as she has her trio charge in and use a myriad of moves to deal as much damage as they can. Thanks to this, the heroes begin thinning their enemies' ranks. Not enough they can win, as there are still over a dozen very strong Pokemon, the strongest of all being Ares Annihilate, which could give their Pokemon a run for their money when they're at full strength, but enough that they can make a break for it. With Arven making the very logical point that if the Titan Northworm lived here, then surely some of its burrows must still be intact, and better yet, must lead out of the canyon. While both Ash and Nimona hate to run from a fight, their concern for their Pokemon outweighs their egos, and so recalling their teams while Pikachu scurries his way back onto Ash's shoulder, they break for the nearest worm tunnel, not even needing to duck their heads thanks to how massive the steel type was. Surprisingly, Eri does not give the command for her forces to give chase, with it seeming as though Ash and Co have gotten a lucky break at last, only for this impression to be promptly shattered as a group of eyes flash from out of the darkness. More than a little freaked out by this sudden appearance, Arven demands to know who's there, with three figures stepping forth from the group, two of whom are very familiar, James and Meowth, as they grin that not only is their new friend a snappy dresser, but he's quite the tactician too, knowing that the twerps would try to make a break for it through this hole. Stoically, the final figure, a young man dressed head to toe in pink, green, and purple robes, states 'twas nothing. For the mind of a scoundrel is no mystery to one such as he who has dedicated his life to the hallowed craft of the shinobi. Scowling deeply now, Arven sighs that he's guessing these guys are more Team Star reinforcements, to which the robed boy nods that they're Na'vi squad, the bulwark of their friend's happiness, and the doom of knaves such as the trio. And he is their leader Atticus, the vaunted vanguard. At these words, he calls forth his partner Reverum, a rather ironic choice for a shinobi as it is such a loud Pokemon, though right now none of the heroes have time to consider the irony, as when the rest of Na'vi squad bring out their Pokemon in time with their leader, meaning 30 new opponents, the trio turn tail and run back the way they came. Unfortunately, this is seemingly just what Team Star want, as when Ash, Arven and Nimona emerge, they see the Calf squad has descended into the gorge, and now stand waiting for them at the exit of the tunnel with all their Pokemon, leaving them pinned as Atticus and his forces advance on them from behind. Seeing that the twerps are out of options, Meowth jeers they've really got him now, though surprisingly, Ash agrees with the Scratch Cat, stating that it looks like they've really got him beat this time. Unable to believe Ash would ever say something like this, Nimona goes to protest that they shouldn't give up, though before she can get her words out, Arven places a firm hand on her shoulder, as if urging her to shut up, then gestures with his head to look at Ash's eyes, since while he hasn't known his little buddy long, he can see from those eyes that he has a plan. Catching on and falling silent too, Nimona watches as Team Rocket begin barging their way through the horde of Team Star allies to stand over Ash, as they taunt that they've finally done it. They've beaten the twerp, and now they're going to take Pikachu and be rich. Clearing her throat, Eri asks Jessie to repeat that since she must have misheard her friend, while across from her, Atticus agrees that they rendered aid for a noble quest, not to be cohorts in Pokemon thievery, though being high on victory, and feeling they don't need their unwitting accomplices anymore, Jessie, James and Meowth hastily shove Pikachu into a small electric-proof cage before telling the bosses to cram it, with the Scratch Cat cackling that he can't believe these chumps actually fell for the old sob story in Waterworks. Talk about a bunch of dopes. At once a palpable sense of rage begins pulsing through the crowd. Not that the three crooks notice, as now that they have Pikachu, they summon their balloon and leap on board, mocking everyone as they begin taking off. However, this is where Ash reveals his plan, as he asks Team Star if they see now who the real bad guys are, and having no way to justify the behavior of the people they mistakenly believed were their friends, the delinquents all nod. Then, on Ash's cry, join him and his Pokemon in opening fire on the balloon. Considering how the combined forces of Calf and Na'vi squad were strong enough to challenge Ash, Nimona and Arven, they most certainly have enough power to send Team Rocket blasting off. And as Pikachu's cage goes spiraling into the air, Ash jumps up and catches it, before freeing his best buddy with a hug and a smile that he's so glad he's safe. However, there is one more matter to attend to, with that being Team Star, as the trio look over at their temporary allies, wondering if the revelation of Team Rocket's villainy is enough to put an end to hostilities, or if they're still surrounded by enemies who want to fight while they are more exhausted than ever. Thankfully, it seems to be the former, as when Eri approaches them it is to bow deeply and apologize for misjudging them and not allowing them to have a chance to prove their innocence, while beside her, Atticus bows as well, saying that verily they have impugned upon the honor of three good fellows, so for that, he and his squad also beseech their pardon. Rubbing the back of his head as he doesn't understand half the words the cloaked boy is saying, even if he thinks he gets the gist, Ash tells the two bosses not to stress it, since Team Rocket tricks him all the time, while Arven grins that it was pretty smart of his little buddy to turn the tables on them by just doing nothing and letting them show their true colors. Shaking her head slightly, Nimona retorts that if it were her, she would have kept battling till she kicked Team Rocket's butts, earning her a sigh from Arven, who gripes that he thought her goal was friendship and unity, so Ash's way was smarter, since it helped them make peace with Team Star. Suddenly, as if to echo this sentiment, Ash's Rotom phone buzzes to life as the modulated voice of Cassiopeia adds that they too are pleased with this resolution, and that it is further proof that they have chosen strong and wise allies for Operation Starfall. Speaking of which, as with Mela, they would like to ask that Atticus and Eri now put their influence to use helping the operation, since it's in the best interest of Team Star as a whole that they reintegrate into the Academy rather than be expelled from it. Nodding emphatically, Eri declares it's the least she can do after this whole mix-up, but with a simple nod to show that he concurs, Atticus also pledges himself to this new cause, especially if it allows him to continue his work as the self-proclaimed bulwark of his friend's happiness. With this resolved, Ash, Arven, and Nimona then bid their new friends goodbye as they make their way out of the canyon, intent on finding the nearest Pokémon Center, since after the day they've just had, their teams deserve some professional care. Despite having seen many things in his time, Ash cannot help but be surprised by Paldea's Pokémon Centers when they find one a few miles up the road, with Arven looking at him quizzically as he asks what's so strange about them. Grinning, Ash replies that in other regions, Pokémon Centers are big buildings where trainers can eat and stay the night, so he's never seen an outdoor one before, a claim which only makes the model head boy furrow his brow more, as he muses that all the Pokemon Centers here are like this. Though he supposes he can see the benefit in Ash's way, so maybe someday he and Mabosstiff will visit one of these indoor Pokemon Centers when they go traveling other regions together to celebrate its recovery. Smile forming on her own face, Nimona replies that while she enjoys the freedom an outdoor center provides, as she can come and go without needing to stop, there is something to be said for the other way too, with Ash asking if she's traveled to other regions then. Nodding, Nimona admits that she actually isn't from Paldea, and that her family moved here when she was 7 as part of a business deal, since her parents are big shots in the Rotom phone company and they needed someone to oversee the Paldea branch. Realizing how little he actually knows about his companions, Ash asks if she plans to go into the family business when she's older. With a disgusted grimace and a laugh, the girl replies that she couldn't imagine anything worse than sitting around in stuffy boardrooms all day. No, that's for her big sister to endure. She's just gonna keep battling stronger and stronger opponents till she's the very best. Speaking of which, unfortunately for Nimona, before she can issue her challenge to Ash, Arven pulls her back into her seat, grumbling that she can be so clueless sometimes, since how is she going to battle when all her Pokemon are with Nurse Joy? In a slightly sulky tone, Nimona rebukes that she was going to battle Ash later, when she got her Pokemon back, but tersely Arven states they won't have time later, since once they have the Pokemon, they'll need to get back on the road, and as a matter of fact they might as well use this downtime to pick their next destination. He then continues that since there are only 2 Team Star bases left compared to 3 Herba Mystica sites, not to mention the fact they technically just took down 2 squads at once, it only seems right they prioritize helping Mabosstiff for a while. Now knowing what he does about Arven's old friend, Ash is inclined to agree, asking where the nearest Herba Mystica site is, with the older boy stating that the nearest one is up in Castle Royal Lake, though they'd be smarter setting their sights on the Asado Desert and West Province, as they're said to each have one of the ancient plants, and they're close together, so it'd mean 2 shots at healing his best buddy. Come on. Seeing the fire in Arven's eyes so reminiscent of her own exuberance, Nimona finds herself forced into the boy's usual role of pragmatist, as she retorts that while that's all well and good, it's also the furthest place in the region from where they are now, so they'd have to schlep all the way back to Mesagoza, and then go roughly the same distance they've just walked. So while she does want to help Mabosstiff get better too, it's a bad idea. However, in spite of this rebuttal, Arven's determination does not waver, as he replies there is a way they could reach the West Province in no time at all, his eyes turning westward while Nimona exclaims that even he can't be that crazy. Looking between his friends with a confused expression, Ash asks what they're talking about, and in unison, Arven and Nimona respond that they're talking about flying over the great crater of Paldea. And that's where we'll leave things. Why is Nimona so opposed to crossing the Great Crater? Do our heroes have the means to make such a journey successfully? And will the reward be worth the risk? Find out as the journey continues.